I woke out of bed with a start, just like Madeline, just feeling like something wasn't quite right. And of course, that thing was I needed to talk about Francis Ford Coppola tonight. So, in Francis Ford Coppola's response to winning the Razzie for Megalopolis, he was thrilled to have the courage to go against the prevailing trends of contemporary movie making. In this wreck of a world today where art, in all caps, is given scores as if professional wrestling. Quick author's note on that, professional wrestling actually doesn't give scores. What he is talking about is more of like an industry kangaroo court type situation. But that's neither here nor there. Back to the point. Um, I chose to not, in all caps, very important, to follow the gutless rules laid down by an industry so terrified of risk that despite the enormous pool of young talent at its disposal, may never create a picture that will be relevant and alive 50 years from now. Oh, Frankie! And if you have any issue with what Mr. Coppola so rightfully has laid down, you're a craven liar. Go watch Hearts of Darkness, a documentary about the making of Apocalypse Now. That's the person he is. That's the era he comes from. This is his sacrifice to the world. We want to talk about a Christ figure. Don't you talk to me about a Christ figure. You think you know dedication, faith, commitment, a righteous path, public crucifixion? You know nothing at all. You come to me as a content creator, as a ragged beggar, holding out your dirty spoon for validation. When John Milius, a father to me, wrote the script, and George Lucas, another father to me, was such a direct apocalypse now, they tried negotiating themselves into war-torn Vietnam while the war was active. A location, a backlot, cowardice. We have a real world war going on all around us. And they were willing to accept their likely fate of a POW camp or execution on sight. Did you think George Lucas was a bitch? I want you to look me in my eyes right now and tell me that you think George Lucas is a fucking bitch. Okay? I know no one would ever breathe a word of that about John Milius. But Lucas? Guy's clinically insane. And you know what? That's what we love. That's what we crave. That is what is missing from the world today. Clinical disorders are what made filmmaking great. Doubling down on your beliefs, no matter the protest, well, now you got yourself a picture. Who gives a fuck if it leaves you destitute or bloodied and murdered in a ditch? This is art. This is movies, and we've lost sight of so much. The Hollywood machine, it's made us sick. Their output, it's not the cure, but the disease itself. Cinematic Munchausen by proxy, force-fed dissociation until we can no longer feel. We're already dead. Francis Ford Coppola, he's a hero. And if you condemn him in any way, any shape, any form, kill yourself. So let us celebrate a great man with One from the Heart that came out in 1982, with Megalopolis that came out in 2024. So at first I avoided One from the Heart because, I heard it was a musical romance, and I was like, I love you, Frank, but I don't know, man. Can I follow you there? The answer is absolutely I can. Without question, I can follow him anywhere. If he needed a heart, without hesitation, I'd rip it from my own chest. I would transfuse all of my blood. Because you know what? I love his musical. It's become one of my favorite movies of all time because it's not a romance and it's not a musical, which I think kind of turned people off at the time, quite honestly. Critics shunned it, audiences treated it like gutter trash, and distributors, well, they refused it. The two leads are unlikable to a lot of people. Their relationship is highly toxic, but that's what I found really endearing. It's like following a friend's relationship saga. They hate each other, they love each other, they leave each other, but there's this undeniable pull back towards the comfortability of each other. In this situation, the romance is in how tragic it is. Franny has visions of seeing the world, traveling new places, being spontaneous, rushing towards excitement, but once her eyes become a little more dull, nah, she'll settle for a cruise to some theme park town in Mexico. And Hank, he doesn't aspire. He doesn't dream. Instead, he just kind of lives in his own mind. The vision of Layla, the captivating circus performer, is a fantasy. Indulging cheapens it, anchors it to reality. Now it's attainable. Now it might have demands of him. Now there's no longer a facade. And maybe they aren't good enough for what they want. Their fantasies are so glamorous, and their own inadequacies stop them from ever taking a risk. They're so focused on it not paying off that they never accept it might, or it might be a combination. But indecision makes Bora Bora just a picture in a display case. They do take a bit of a risk on the 4th of July and indulge, just for one night, what it might be like before the fear chases them home. The musical element is Tom Waits, and it isn't a traditional musical in that the characters are singing and dancing, although there is a dance scene choreographed by none other than Gene Kelly. But it's more Tom Waits is like sing narrating, and his disembodied voice becomes our guide through the very stylized backlot that serves as Las Vegas. And I think in this way, like, making it a backlot gives it much more of like a knockoff Vegas vibe. It looks otherworldly, almost like an apocalyptic reimagining of what Vegas was like in the before times. And already Vegas has the feel of being this isolated outpost, but since this was all construction on a stage, it really enhances this feature. The characters are really the only thing that ground it, and it kind of evokes the same feeling I have when I watch that scene in the Neverending Story when Atreyu travels to the Sphinxes and he meets that couple there. I don't know if that makes sense, but it has that same feeling, if you get it. And you know, the film was very ambitious in its approach, and as a result, it bankrupted Zoetrope, Coppola's very own heart-backed studio. But his only regret was that it wasn't ambitious enough. See, he originally saw the film as what he describes as live cinema. He wanted live performance, live music, the energy that comes with that, but it was complicated in many ways. One being digital cameras could only shoot 10 minutes at a time back in 1982, and his cinematographer talked him out of it. And he laments that he didn't trust himself and go with someone else. A disaster, maybe to a weaker man. No, no. I think you'll agree even if the time was blind to it. History will correctly say it's unlike any other, and genuinely one from the heart. And it has Harry Dean Stanton. I forgot to say that part. But it has Harry Dean. Everything's better with Harry Dean. Megalopolis. Did I pay almost $40 to see this in IMAX? Yes, I did. Did I wear a gold laurel headband to get into the spirit? Of course I did. Is the plot complex? I won't deny it. Are the ideas muddled? To a simple mind, perhaps, is Caesar Catalina's cape profound? Is John Voight's boner undiluted ecstasy? Why would you even ask? Because you already know the answer, but your mind, it fights it. Why? Because you have no vision. So the story is a modern retelling of the Catiline conspiracy in ancient Rome, a failed coup that may have been fabricated by the Roman consuls of the time. During this time in history, they elected two consuls. So this was like they elected him with the idea that, like, would spread the power of like one single king. And as the story goes, Catiline wanted to usurp powers for himself, and he was brutally defeated. Coppola sees this as a foretelling of the Roman Republic crumbling into the Roman Empire. Similar to the story here, Caesar Catalina is accused of a plan to overthrow the mayor of New Rome, which is basically just New York City, but it's called New Rome. Very striking visuals. That was like definitely such highlight. Probably my favorite. Well, the names. The names are my favorite part. And the acting and definitely the visuals though. It looks so cool. Um, and Caesar Catalina, I mean, come on. Who doesn't love saying that name? But Caesar Catalina, he's a special boy. He's a talented architect and he can stop time. Literally, that's a power of his. He can stop time. And he's among the new Roman elites where the populace is starving and barely surviving, and they're living in decadence. He has a sexual relationship with Aubrey Plaza, who is named Wild Platinum. Didn't I tell you about the names? And love her character. She's a bit of a schemer, a bit of a plotter. And she later marries John Voight in an attempt to make Caesar jealous. But Caesar is much more interested in building a utopian, futuristic city that will save the world by bringing them together in an open ended conceptualization. The film is highly technocratic, but that's okay because I would trust Caesar Catalina with my life. He is not like the freaks that we see before us today. He's a simple everyman who is addicted to alcohol and sex with young pop stars who are supposed to be chaste. These vices, they're not those of a sadistic, K-hole sex criminal who, feeds babies to ancient gods. This is Caesar Catalina. He's an artist, an icon, a dreamer. Remind you of anyone? Oh, yes, the true test of great cinema. The lead is but a thinly veiled proxy for its creator. So we also have Shia LaBeouf, who is a right-wing street rascal populist who's causing all sorts of trouble. And at this point, Caesar falls in love with the mayor's daughter, and she can also stop time. He impregnates her. Everyone tries to break them up. The populace, at the behest of Shia LaBeouf, wants Caesar, out of the way. They're going to storm City Hall, but they end up turning on Shia and stringing him up like Mussolini because they're so moved by the words of Caesar Catalina. But before this, of course, Shia LaBeouf hatches another plan to get Caesar out of his way, and he pays a child to shoot him in the face. Yet he's healed by his own architect design. And the mayor is so impressed with all of this that he's like, you know what, Caesar? You're crazy, dude. And I love it. And you know what? I think you should build that vague utopia that you've been annoying me with. And so he does. And then his baby also has time stopping power. because it is a timeless tale. It's a beautifully chaotic tale, just like the story of life. And the lesson that we should take away, are we forgetting about the interactive part of the film where we get to talk to Caesar Catalina? He's pleading for us to rid ourselves of passive viewership. It's time we rise, burn the studio system to the ground. Coppola himself is quoted as saying, "How does an empire die? It dies when its people no longer believe in it." As his proxy Caesar Catalina so passionately imparts, there must be a major eruption of something the Coppola has in spades: belief. Belief in oneself, belief in vision, belief in ability. No one will finance my movie? Well, fine, I'll make wine and build an empire, and my grapes will be my currency. And I have supported him wholeheartedly in this endeavor. Wherever I go, I always ask, just like this, your finest Coppola wine, please. Most places only have like a $9 glass of wine, but I buy two and I get very drunk off of the idea and my belief in Caesar Catalina and Francis Ford Coppola. And this isn't, about whether or not you liked the film, you shallow fools. This is that an artist got to make a passion piece without interference. Self indulgence isn't the greatest crime against art. In fact, I believe the opposite. Megalopolis is a prevailing achievement, and everyone's learned the wrong lessons. We do not ridicule someone for putting his faith in himself. This isn't the first time he's bankrupted himself, and if he were a younger man, I doubt it would be the last. This is true enlightenment, the tenacious pursuit of a man that is most free. Too much influence suffocates our ability to create. An overdeveloped superego is self suppression. We should appreciate and celebrate his ability to surpass fear, compartmentalize cynicism, and seize the risks that challenge the present and propel us into the future. Francis Ford Coppola saved cinema. What'd you ever do?